Hey guys, how are you doing? So it is late. It's like after 8 my time. I'm in Chicago. For those of you guys who don't know me, I'm Deb Acker. I'm an intuitive life coach. And I clear energy blocks to all areas of life, including love and abundance. So, for instance, if you've had trouble finding your partner and you keep attracting the same type of person, people work with me to undo that so you can actually attract the person you're wanting to attract. But today I actually want to tell you, so I'm hoping like this story is really, really touching. I heard it this weekend and it's really, really beautiful. It's really, really touching. It's really, really vibration raising. So I may cry. I don't know. We'll see. I cried when I first heard it. But I want to share it with you because I think it's a really beautiful story and it exhibits a lot of different pieces. So basically, in today's Vibration Raising Wednesday in the Living in Your Truth community, so the story that I had heard was all around basically, okay, this is like a secondhand story, and it was a secondhand story from them. So it's 2 degrees of separation. But the story really was there was this kid. I'm going to give them names. I don't remember the exact names, but I'm going to give them names for following purposes. So there was this kid, John, and there was this kid, Tommy. And Tommy, they're both on opposite Little League teams. And Tommy was a terrible baseball player. Whoever joined to say hello, I'd love to say hi to you. I'm just telling a story, a true story. And so basically, Tommy is he's playing. I'm tired, so I'm gonna try to get through this and actually be cohesive. Okay, so Tommy is not a good Little League baseball player, and John is actually a really good. He's a good baseball player. So, anyways, hi Deborah. Thanks so much for joining. So glad to have you here. And so basically, Tommy always played in. He always when he was I don't know all the terms either for baseball. This is so funny. So Tommy was always when he played it when he was in the outfield. He always was in right field. Okay, and so for whatever reason, this one day when John's up to bat, all of a sudden Tommy's in left field. So for whatever reason, he for this one experiment, this one time, Tommy's in left field versus right field. So he's not actually where he usually is, I should say. And so you've got Tommy out in left field, and you've got John up to bat. Okay, and they're at the point where basically this point in the process is make or break, right? So it is like John's going to hit the ball and he's got to hit it and either get it out and they win, and I think this is to win the whole like the series, like win Little League. I don't even know what do you win when you win Little League, but win the championship, let's say. So John's up to bat, and like I said, it's 2 strikes out, and this is that last moment, and like I said, it's like either he's going to win or he's going to lose. And so he hits the ball, and Tommy, who was terrible at baseball, who was terrible at playing, he hits the ball, and the ball goes way out, really, really far out, and Tommy, for the first time ever, Tommy catches the ball, right? Totally unexpected, right? Totally something that you would not expect him to do because he just wasn't a good softball player. And so basically, Tommy's team ends up winning. John's team is completely devastated. He's so sad, and he's devastated, right, that this has happened. And so, everyone's celebrating, and all of Tommy's team is celebrating, and Tommy's so happy, and he's so grateful, and he just feels so good. And so everybody leaves, and John is just sitting on the field. He's crying, he's devastated, he's asking, he's like, why did that happen? Why did we lose? He's feeling completely bad, right? And he's feeling so sad and so bad. And so he's just crying, right? And so you know, he's asking his mom, like, why did this happen? Why did this have to happen? And she doesn't really have an answer for him, and he's just so devastated. So he's on the field, and he's just completely devastated. And so fast forward to like they're maybe around, or well, basically they're around 25 years old, right? So John's sitting in a bar, and Tommy, actually I think it's Tommy sitting in a bar, but not that that detail really matters. But so Tommy's sitting in a bar, and John's comes up in the bar, and basically John looks over to Tommy, and John's like, huh. And John's like, are you Tommy so-and-so from, you know, when we were kids? And Tommy looks at John, and Tommy's like, oh, are you John, you know, so-and-so from when we were kids, from this moment? And they go and they start talking about this moment when they were kids, right? And so Tommy starts to talk about, he's like, that whole moment for me, it changed, like, I'm gonna start crying. It changed my whole life. Because that whole moment for him, he's like, I want to tell you, he was like, that was like, so here he was like the, you know, the winner. I'm going to start crying again. He was the winner. He you know, basically he determined, he won the whole championship for his team, right? With that one catch right in the air. And, basically he's like, that whole moment changed my whole life. He's like, that was the last time that my father saw me alive, right? That was the last time that or not saw me alive, that was the last time that my dad saw him play, because his dad passed away shortly after that baseball game, after that championship. So his father got to experience him having this beautiful moment, right? Having this moment where he was the champion, where he was the leader of his team, where he was like, where he had this really, really special moment, right? And John starts to say, oh my God, like, he starts to realize that even though he had this priority and he had wanted to win that game so badly, that everything that had happened, that what had happened to him and all that upset and everything that he had felt, all of that, like that devastation around that moment, and that why did this have to happen? Why couldn't I have won the game? In that moment, he realized how worthwhile it was that had happened exactly that, like it was, right? Because Tommy's dad passed away shortly after that, and actually had the opportunity to experience his son in that moment, and experience his son winning, and have that takeaway, and have that pride that he felt towards his his son in that moment. And so I want to leave you with, on this Vibration Raising Wednesday, the story, right? And to always understand that sometimes you might not understand why something happens, or why something bad happens. And yet everything is happening for a reason. And sometimes there's something bigger that's behind the scenes that we're not aware of, as to why something happens the way it does, or why something that we perceive to be negative happens, right? So if you can look at things through this picture of, maybe, like, of always knowing that maybe there's something that what happened was that everything that happens is happening exactly as it should be. And it may not feel pleasant in that moment, it may not feel good in that moment, but if you can recognize that it's happening exactly as it should be, and that there might be something bigger at work there, that there is something bigger at work, and just to really take that in. And so I just want to leave you with this touching story on this beautiful Wednesday. I'm a little tired, so thanks for bearing with me and listening to the story, because I just think the story is just so beautiful, and it's just like, to me, it just hits me right in my heart, right? It's just one of those things. So much gratitude and love. I hope you're having you had a wonderful day today. You have a wonderful evening. Send you lots of love. Good night.